Hey, good morning, everybody. How are you? Happy Thursday. Hope that you are doing well in your part of the world. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, we're back to daily live streaming. I know that you guys have been sending me requests to get back to streaming, and I've been doing that on Sundays. If you haven't joined us on Sundays, make sure you do that. But I'm gonna go ahead and start picking up the daily streaming again. I think we had a lot of fun with it last year, and you know what? Let's do it again this year. Let's see where this year takes us. I have a massive project in mind that I'm taking on, kind of in my personal life, which is basically, for you guys and my platforms and things like that. So we're going to do a little bit of building in public. I've never really done that before. I mean, obviously, I've done large scale projects before, but not in such a public way. So we're going to try to do that. As many of you know, I have launched an effort to start my own data science school. I'm going to be putting together my own school with my own efforts or definition, I guess you could say, of what I think a data scientist should be trained on. So I've started to put in the big pieces for that together. I have this. Give me just a second here, guys. I'm trying to look over on my Instagram. Why is my Instagram not streaming like it should? Give me just a second here. All right, everything is looking good on my software. So is that just my Instagram acting up? Let me look at this real quick, guys, because I want to make sure all the folks on Instagram are able to watch also. Okay, it looks like everything's okay over there. Just the software on my end. Anyways, as I was saying, huge project for me to take on in public to share with you what I think a data science education should look like. But you know what? I think it'd be fun to build it with you guys watching. And maybe you guys will give me some feedback along the way. Maybe you guys will let me know where I'm going right, where I'm going wrong, and kind of, go from there, right? So happy to have you along for the ride. My goal is to deploy the school on August 1st. But two things that need to happen to do that, okay? One, I need to get my act together. That's a lot of curriculum I gotta put together, right? At least in the way I have it envisioned, right? Um, and I'll probably just be doing that by myself. People have reached out saying, hey, I can help, but you know what? I really want this to be representative of my work and my effort. So it's a lot of material to put together, but I think I can do it. Two, I want to see 1,000 founding members sign up for the school. I have followers all around the world, so this shouldn't be too difficult to achieve. But 1,000 founding members. I've only been advertising this for a couple of days. Today's the first live stream, and we already have more than 10 members sign up. So, I'm trying to be positive about this and know that it's going to take a while. But as they say, you can't get to 100 unless you get to 10, and you can't get to 10 unless you get to 1, right? So I'm just taking small steps, keeping the eye on the bigger picture. I'm going to encourage all of you to sign up, but just to kind of also show my work and show you guys that I'm really working towards this reality on August 1st. We're going to be building it in public on streams just like this. So I'm going to be streaming Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays at 1500 GMT, which is the same time you're watching now. And I'm going to put together all this stuff in public. Now, my intent is to only stream for 1 hour a day because I don't want to give everything away, right? I mean, I think you guys are going to see the big structure of the school, but at the same time, I want to make sure that the quizzes and some of the other materials are still kept, a little bit private so that you guys will be surprised when you join the school too, right? But also, I think for everyone involved, even if you're not a data scientist, you're going to be able to see how I put things together and how I'm mixing elements of all the things I've learned from the big companies that I've worked at, and I'll tell you along the way, hey, this is how I used to do it at this company. This is how I used to do it at that company. So it's going to still also be a good lesson in kind of like general project management, or kind of helping you understand how big projects kind of come together, right? So I hope that you guys will also find value in that and, see where we end up after that. Okay. All right. So I'm already seeing a couple of people in the chat. Thanks so much. So first in the chat, my good friend Manoj says, good morning, Sir Dennis and everyone from Bangalore, India. Good morning, Manoj. Hope you're doing well. So good to see you. Always such a great supporter. If you see the special icon next to Manoj's name, that's because he's a member on the YouTube channel. So thank you so much, Manoj. Really appreciate you. Osama, our good friend from Morocco says, hi, everyone, Dennis. I hope everything is going well. Everything is going really well, Osama. It's always exciting to start off a new series, right? To kick off a series. So we'll see how today treats us. Let me check over a couple things here, guys. So one of the challenges of doing this also is that I'm going to have so many more windows and different things going on, right? Because I'm obviously going to keep some of the administrative views private, as far as the things I need for the school and the back end management. But then I'm also going to be displaying things to you guys as I usually do on my other monitors, to be able to, kind of share out with you kind of what I'm thinking and where my general thought process is going. Okay. So for some reason, I'm not picking up the Instagram chats. Guys, if you're over on Instagram, I see you. Thank you so much. But for some reason, those chats are not showing up. So give me just a second here. Maybe I can make some. All right, let me see if that worked. That did not work, so that is annoying. Let me see if. All right, we'll see if that works over on Instagram. But it looks like people on YouTube are joining us just fine. If you're joining us on YouTube, feel free to say hello and let us know where you're from. Mushtari, I think it's Mushtari. Mushtari says, good morning. So happy to know about your initiative. Can data science masters graduate? Can a data science master's graduate sign up to be a member? Yeah, sure, of course. Mushtari, I think it's your first time here, so welcome. Glad to see you. Yes, Mushtari, absolutely. So as I've shared before, and a serious problem that I think exists in data science is that a lot of candidates who graduate, even after graduating, aren't very good at actual data science. They're not very good at the actual execution of data science projects and algorithms, right? And I think that happens in other ways too. Like, Kaggle people aren't necessarily ready. If you watch a bunch of tutorials, they're not necessarily ready. So that part is what's driving me to do this school, because I hear it from hiring managers, right? Because I have a lot of friends who are hiring managers. They're disappointed in the candidates that they end up selecting, even after a long interview process. And then also I hear it from my clients. I hear it from my personal coaching clients. Some of my clients tell me, hey, I have this degree, but I don't feel very good. I don't feel like a data scientist. I don't feel good about my capabilities to work on my own, or to work in real industries, or to work with real data. I hear it a lot, guys. So if you're feeling that way, you're not alone. It's kind of a problem in data science. So yeah, Mushtari, I would definitely encourage you to sign up. The link is pinned in the chats. I think somebody like you could actually benefit the most from it, because I do intend to put like a real world spin on everything that I do. I want to have real world examples and real world effects from everything that I present, because that's really what matters, right? Data science is not theoretical. You have to go out there and you have to practice it. You have to go out and do it, right? So yeah, even if you have a degree, you might not be feeling like a data scientist. That's okay. I can help you. Okay. So hopefully, we'll get some more signups today. Again, guys, I am looking for 1,000 founding members to help me make the school a viable venture. It's very daunting for me to say that. I mean, 1,000 is is a big number, right? And I've never really done fundraising like this before. But the reality is that, if I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this in the way that I have it envisioned, servers cost money, software costs money. I'm going to have to get a couple of AI services, a couple of AI tools, maybe a couple of consultants along the way to help me with a couple of things that I don't know. So that's why I'm looking for 1,000 founding members between now and August 1st. Otherwise, I'm going to have to, kind of abandon the idea. But I am going to stay in faith, and I'm going to remain confident that there's 1,000 students around the world that want to learn data science. Okay? All right. So let's go ahead and get started. If you're joining me in the chat, feel free to still say hello. Feel free to interrupt me and ask questions and say, hey, I didn't understand what you meant by that, or whatever. Feel free to stop me. Feel free to interrupt. Totally okay. And also feel free to give me your feedback, because I would love to hear feedback from you guys on different things that maybe you'd want to see or you don't understand, or just, whatever the case may be. Okay. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my classroom view so I can share out my my other screen with you. And here, guys, for the very first time on stream, I'm showing you what the homepage of the school looks like. So I'm using a piece of software called Moodle, which is an LMS, a learning management system. And I have done my own implementation, and I have done my basic setups for my homepage and for some initial courses. So I invite you to go to school.datasciencewithdennis.com. That's my customized domain name. That's where the school will live for hopefully forever and ever. And you can see I have an intro video that I still need to swap out, because this is just a video I'm using for my coaching clients, not for the school specifically. But you can see here, you can register for the school. That's to become a founding member. And then I have some initial courses laid out. And you can notice that some of these courses are color coded, where, orange are my basics, green are my numbers, blue is for my kind of initial data science instruction, red is for my data science management, or, kind of like project management. And then that's it. That's all I have for now. I think I'm going to have at least one more category. I'm not sure of that yet, but this is how I envision that somebody would progress through the major topics of data science, right? So I want you to know that everything I have up here is kind of like an initial sketch, just initial thoughts that I have. But we'll basically be filling these in as we go along in this series, basically over the next 100 days between now and August 1st, right? So you're welcome to take a look at these and say, oh, what does that course contain? Or I thought we'd have a course on this, or whatever. But this is how I envision the curriculum of the data science school coming together. I'm excited about it. I think it'll make for a pretty good curriculum. But, you guys can tell me, right? That's kind of one of the benefits of building in public, right? So just so you guys know, if you come here and you click on the school registration button, you're taken to another landing page that I have set up for advertising purposes. And then if you click on here for become a founding member, you're taken to the Stripe page there where you can go ahead and sign up there. Okay? All right, so when we're taking on a project of this size, or really any time that you're taking on a large scale project at most companies, you're going to start off not with the software or the things that I've already done. You're actually going to start off with a blank spreadsheet usually. Now, some of you may have attended my earlier series on creating a data science project. And you may remember that we used Agile planning to help with that, right? And we're still going to do a lot of the elements of Agile in this project. But even at large companies or even with large projects, Agile usually just starts with a spreadsheet. You kind of just want to lay out what it is that you want to do, right? So that's my intent for today's session. I kind of want to just start putting some thoughts down on paper, just like general ideas like hey, this is what I want to do. And then, it kind of becomes like this big pile of clay, right? And then you kind of shape that clay as you go along, as you can refine things and think, oh, I need to add this, or I can remove this, so on and so forth, right? So that's really kind of what you're seeing on the screen here. This is what you would do at most large companies, where you kind of just start off with a blank sheet and just kind of go at it, okay? So that's kind of what we're going to do right now. So remember, we're going to start high level and try to break it down, right? So I'm thinking about different categories, and I'm going to have a new sheet for each one of those categories. The first thing I'm thinking about school operations. What are the things I need to do to make sure that the school has the right graphics, the right curriculums, logins, things along those lines, right? So that's going to be one of our sheets. Another sheet is going to be server operations, right? Or rather, what is the infrastructure that I need in order to run the school successfully, right? What does my database look like? What does my backup strategy look like? Do I need to have a load balancer? How am I going to archive and manage the backups? Like the offline backups, things along those lines, right? What's going to be my maintenance schedule, my patching schedule? So that's kind of what I think about when I think about server operation. And then my third sheet is going to be my business operations, right? What do I need on the business side to handle all the things that come with running a project of this size? So I think that this gives us a pretty good start. We can always add more sheets later on as we come up with different ideas. But this is kind of where I want to start for today. Okay, so you guys with me? Everybody understand so far? If not, let me know, okay? And I'm going to get rid of this column. I really don't like that it starts off with a shaded column. That's kind of old school. All right, so hey, Yassine, how are you? Hello, sir. It's Yassine from Tangier, Morocco. Yassine, so good to see you. Thank you so much. You're here at the start of an exciting series, Yassine. I'm going to be building my own data science school in public. So thanks for being here, friend. Okay, so let's start off. I want to start off with server operations because I think a lot of you will be able to contribute there, right? Because the school operations, you kind of have to know a little bit about running a school or about an LMS. But I think most people are able to understand server operations, right? So here, if you remember in Agile, we talked about how there's a particular way of writing the items that you want to work on, right? I'm not ready to do that yet. You don't always have to start off right into writing stories. I would much rather, I prefer to kind of just start by thinking about just kind of like a to-do list, right? What are some of the to-do items that I want to work on? Just at a high level, what are some of the things that I need to do in order to be successful in deploying the project, right? So what I want to do is I want to think about what I need to do while wearing my little server infrastructure hat, right? Or server manager hat. So One of the things I need to do is I need to add a consistent backup schedule, right? I need to I need to manage both the software, the LMS software, as well as the database, right? Both of those need to be backed up individually, right? So, what are the things that I need to do in order to make sure that I have a consistent backup schedule? So, that's something, right? I also need to think about server sizing. Right now, I have a modest server. I'm not going to call it a small server, but it's a modest server. It's probably not, well, it's definitely not enterprise scale, but it's good enough. But that's gonna change as we expect growth, right? Every project needs to consider future scaling into it, right? So um, uh, I need to provide a plan for appropriate server processing power, right? That's something I need to also come up with. And notice that I said processing power because there's a distinction between how much processing power you need and how much storage you need. So that's the next one. I need to figure out what I'm going to do about storage. This one is going to be a little tricky. Now, this is me just sharing my thoughts out to you guys. This one's going to be a little bit tricky because I might have to make adjustments to that based on the development of the curriculum or the development of the school and the number of courses that I have and what those courses require. So if there's a lot of uploads, let's say, then that would require a lot more storage space than classes or a school that doesn't require a lot of uploads, right? Or it also drives things like how big of a profile picture can you add, right? Maybe I'd have to limit the number of or the size of profile pictures, something along those lines, right? So it's going to have to be the server storage is not going to be something that's very it's not going to be a fixed value for a long time because as the development of the school grows, the needs will grow. But then once the school launches and there's more people joining, there's going to be like some sort of a trend to how people join. And then the storage will have to follow that, right? Because more users, more storage, right? So that's going to be something to think about. And then on top of that, I'm running this using cloud servers. So that's also going to drive costs, right? Now, storage itself is usually not too big of an expense, but I'm going to have to factor it at some point in the business operations, right? Where the bigger the servers, the larger the number of servers, and the bigger the storage, the more I will have to kind of attribute that in the accounting costs. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. What else? What else do you guys think I need for server operations, right? I probably need to do something around security, right? So I need to review the current firewall policies. And then I also need to so I'm going to break this out into two things because I need to look at my current firewall policies versus what I'm going to do for the long term, right? This is one of those things, right, where they always tell you that cybersecurity isn't a static thing. You kind of have to keep after it, right? So this is where I want to make sure that I'm consistently I'm implementing a consistent schedule to review where everything is at, see if anything has changed or whatnot. As I add in new software or new plugins, things are going to change, right? So, okay, so I think I'm ready to leave server operations for now. I think we're pretty good here. business operations. You know what? No, I don't want to talk about business operations. Let's talk about school operations. All right. So the school side, I think, is going to be um, some of the initial items kind of jump out at you really quickly, right? But other items, are going to kind of pop up as I learn more and more about this software. I am not an expert in LMS systems. Um, so it's kind of new to me, but that's okay, right? You kind of have to learn as you go along, right? Excuse me. So that's what I want to do. I want to start looking at how can I improve my own skills on LMS. And this one, my gut tells me I'm going to need some sort of additional help as far as bringing in a consultant that helps me with LMS specific issues, right? So why don't we start there? So as I mentioned before, I'm using a software called Moodle, which you are free to Google. It is a very popular LMS software, open source. Well, some of the implementations are open source. And it's so large that there's actually industries of consultants that help you with these integrations. So at some point, I might have to bring in somebody that can help me kind of just review my work and just make sure that I've gone about it in a reasonable way. And that's also because I want to make sure that once I launch and once the school is out there, the maintenance windows required will be very minimal, right? I definitely don't want breaks in the school or too many times where the school will be inaccessible. That's something I really, really want to avoid, right? Okay, so where do we go from here? Next thing about the school operations is to I want to complete the development of the curriculum, right? And I want to break this out into two things. There's going to be a curriculum planning and then complete of each course in the curriculum. Now, needless to say, I'm going to highlight this one in bold because that's the big one, right? That's like the biggest to-do bucket of things that I have to do. I have to go out there and I have to, basically develop all of the different aspects of each course, right? So let's take a quick look at that. So if I have again, what you're seeing now is the homepage of the school. You're welcome to view it at school.datasciencewithdennis.com. And let me go back here. If we click on one of these courses, let's click on the basics of numbers. That's one of the courses I want to have. This is the curriculum. This is where a student would see the curriculum associated with the basics of numbers, right? And here you can have a collection of things that are either videos or quizzes or discussions. You can see that there's an announcement item at the top here, for where the instructor can kind of give out announcements. I could also add like a messaging board specific for this course and so on. So that's going to be part of that development where I can decide and say, oh, okay, yeah, let me add a quiz here. Let me add a new video here. Let me add something else, right? Some coding exercise or whatever the case may be. So that's one of the things that's going to be kind of like the most time consuming. Is if we go back to the school homepage, you can see that I have envisioned, I think right now I have like, was it 9 courses? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13. Okay, 13 courses. Wow. So for me to just say, oh, I got to complete the curriculum, it's a big undertaking, right? I mean, I want to launch in about 100 days, right? August 1st. So that's going to be what, like 7 days per course, right? So I got to produce like a course a week, right? Roughly, yeah. Roughly a one course every week I have to finish. So that's very aggressive, but I think it's doable. I think it's achievable, right? So that's something that I'm going to have to take on in the near future. So I'm kind of, again, I'm kind of putting a lot of emphasis on there because right now in our planning, it's just going to exist as this one single like to-do item, but there's a lot that goes underneath each one of these items, right? All right, so what else do I need to do on the school operations side is I need to connect the founding member registration to login creation. So as I said, right now I'm looking for 1,000 founding members to join me by August 1st. And I'm handling that via subscriptions model on Stripe. But I need to create the API connectors that go from Stripe to the school and to say, here, this person signed up, go ahead and add this new student, right? So I don't have that portion yet. I was working on that the other day, and I kind of ran into a limitation of my own knowledge of the Moodle software. So that's kind of like what I mean by I might need a consultant. But those are the types of things that I think about for school operations to have as many automations as possible, right? And in that scenario, that's a scenario where you have an API talking to another API, right? I have my Stripe API talking to my Moodle API. So not an impossible thing to overcome, but needs to be part of the overall to-do list, right? Casual Economist says, is there a cabbage soup course? That's funny. Good to see you, Casual Economist. No cabbage soup course, but who knows? Who knows? You never know. Maybe we will have some like different like fun courses along the way. So if you guys want to think about this, here's the school, right? And as I said, I've tried to color code things. So yellow is my basics, like my very, very basics. Green is my intro to statistics or basic statistics. Blue is my data science, right? And then red is like kind of like my project planning or like data science for managers, if you can think of it that way, right? What am I missing? I am missing a category, right? So think about that. Let me know in the chat. I'm missing a category. What do you guys think? Mushtari says many graduates focus on certifications and well-known projects, but often lack real-world data experience and understanding of industry needs. Is your school aiming to offer certifications like other? Or is it focused on building a community and real pipeline to close the skill gaps in data science? Mushtari, it's definitely the second one. I don't know if I'll ever offer like an official certification. Who knows? Maybe it will grow to that, right? The challenge with that, Mushtari, is that I have yet to find a good, like internationally recognized certifying body that can do that, right? Like, who do you go to kind of give you like that certification or like that legitimacy, I guess you could say, is that certification. I mean, yes, of course I could issue my own certificate, but that doesn't really mean anything, at least not at the beginning, right? Maybe the school will grow so big that the certification can stand on its own. But usually you'd want to have some sort of a certifying body to help you with that, right? So I really want to focus more on saying, look, I know that you may have data science education from other sources, whatever they may be, whether it's a master's degree or you just watch YouTube a lot. But I'm one of the few that's showing you with real world experience, right? Because you guys know that I refer to the people on YouTube as the idiot influencers, right? They don't know what they're talking about. They're just chasing a trend to try to get money from you guys, right? They've never worked in data science in their lives. So that's always been the difference that I bring to my content, that I give you guys the real world view. So, so Mushtari, it's definitely more about helping people actually understand data science by how it's done in the real world. Okay. So yeah, Mushtari, great question. But yeah, I hope that answers it for you. I love where your thinking is going there. Yassine says soft skills would be a good ad. I believe Yassine, I have it. I have it right down here. Soft skills for data science. And that one does have the potential to be a very large course. Because what is soft skills, right? Like, what do you mean soft skills? It can be a lot of things, right? And some of those things are kind of hard to teach, right? Like, how am I going to teach somebody presentation skills? Not easy, right? So, yeah, that's one of those things that I'd have to kind of think about. So, is soft skills its own section? Maybe I have it as part of my data science for managers right now because soft skills isn't something maybe you'd need on day one of your study. You certainly need it for work, but I do have it, Yassine. But Yassine, if you want to give me some feedback on that, if it should be a separate section or its own course, right now have it as its own course. Let me know. But yes, to Yassine's point, soft skills very critical in data science. Casual Economist says, what prerequisites do we need before starting classes? Hopefully none. Hopefully none. So Casual Economist, I'm starting with 2 courses that are very basic, where I just give you a very high level view, and then I go straight into the basics of numbers. So I would expect very little pre-knowledge coming into this. I think most people will have some sort of data science knowledge or what they think is data science knowledge. But no, I'm not going to have any like strict prerequisites. Now, within the courses, I might have prerequisites. So for example, you'll notice I have a basics of statistics and I have advanced statistics. So those will definitely be prerequisites to each other. But, it kind of makes sense, right? I mean, if you're not willing to sit through basics of statistics, then you probably have no business taking advanced statistics, right? So yeah, Casual Economist, nothing to start, but within the school, there will be prerequisites. So yeah, great question. Thanks for that. Yassine says, do you have some business courses? Not yet, Yassine. Not yet. Not yet. And that might be a good addition. Yeah, I'm going to think about that one, Yassine. And I'm going to think about that, especially when we do more of the curriculum planning, because, the next step is do curriculum planning, right? I mean, we shouldn't just jump straight into the courses. I put these courses up as an initial brain dump, and so that you guys can see that I'm actually thinking about this. I'm not just trying to, I'm not just trying to steal your money. I'm actually taking steps forward in developing the school. But business courses might be its own section. I don't know. It's a good need. There's definitely a need for that. So let me think on that one, Yassine. Denelson, good morning. How are you? Denelson says, good morning, everyone. Apologies for being late. Drove to work. Okay, Denelson. Denelson, let's review here, my good friend. So for those of you who don't know, Denelson's our good friend from LA. So Denelson got up this morning, got ready for work, made his lunch, got into the car, fought that LA traffic because LA is nothing but traffic. Fought the LA traffic just to get to work and sit at his desk and open up my live stream. All right, guys, that deserves a round of applause. If that's not dedication to my channel, I don't know what is. So thank you so much, Denelson. Really appreciate having you here. Denelson has his priorities right. He gets in the car, fights traffic, goes to work just to sit down and watch my stream. So thank you so much, Denelson. I appreciate that. So Mushtari says, would love to find unique courses not offered by some YouTube playlists or other online portals. Mushtari, I know it's your first time here, and I don't know how long you've been watching my content, but keep in mind, not all content is the same, right? Again, these idiot influencers, they're just using AI or they're studying other YouTube tutorials themselves to come up with their own materials and all that, right? I give you guys a unique view because I've been there. You are not going to find many, I don't think, well, I don't want to say any others, but not many others uh, tutorial creators are coming from a place of experience. Some of them may not even be coming from a place of skill, right? Like I said, they're kind of making up the content or using AI. And the ones that are usually, PhDs with extra time on their hands who think they can teach, right? So, Mushtari, don't be so quick to dismiss that. Just because it's not a unique course doesn't mean that the way the material is created and taught isn't better than the others. Because that's one of my skills. I'm able to break down complex topics for people, right? And you can see that from my Sunday courses and all that. So be careful with that. I usually don't like being lumped into, these other tutorials because, those people are idiots, right? And I'm coming to you guys with a lot of experience. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Osama says business knowledge. Osama, that's a good one, but where do you start with that? Like that's almost like a whole other certification. You know what I mean? So Osama, if you want to kind of break that down for me further, I'm willing to think about it and have like a whole. I think business courses will require its own color coded section, right? Because you guys can see I have high level sections, right? But let me know. Let me know. Okay, I'm gonna jump down real quick to Yassine. Yes, Yassine got it, right? So I asked you guys to think about what am I missing? And Yassine is right. I have no AI courses right now. Obviously, I'm gonna have that at some point. But yeah, you can see that in my initial sketch out of all my courses, there's no AI. I've left AI out, right? And I know this, And obviously AI is gonna be its own section, right? But that's also gonna be an interesting one to teach. And coming back to Casual Economist's question, I can't have a Gen AI course without requiring you to take neural networks first, right? Like, that's kind of a requirement, right? So, yeah. So yeah, Yassine, you got the answer I was looking for. I don't have any Gen AI or excuse me, any AI courses. So that's definitely going to be something I'm going to add. So as I said, we took a count earlier, 13 courses. Gen AI is easily another 3-4 courses, maybe more, right? Ooh, Manoj has a good one. Agile planning. Ooh, that's a good one. I have project planning, and I think I envision that as part of that, Manoj. But yeah, agile planning definitely has to be touched upon in this. And you guys will learn more about it if you keep on coming back to my live streams, because I'm going to be using agile planning for this. Okay. Mushtari says recently working on a project found that Bayesian frameworks and applications of it in data science field is hard to find. Well, it depends where you're looking. You can find a ton of white papers on it. So where were you looking? Were you looking in white papers? Because white papers on Bayesian methods are not difficult to find. Applications of in the data science field, yeah, because again, a lot of these people don't have real world experience of when you would use that or when you wouldn't use that. And also Bayesian methods have kind of fallen by the wayside. Bayesian methods kind of had like this they kind of had their moment like in the early 2000s. Yeah, like in the early 2000s, people thought that Bayesian methods could solve a lot of things, and they kind of could until people figured out how Bayesian systems fail, right? Because Bayesian systems can be like skewed, I guess you could say. Yeah, so I'll give you guys a thought exercise. So in the early 2000s, Bayesian methods were very popular for spam filters, right? Because if you remember, in the early 2000s, it's kind of like when the internet kind of took off and more people had email addresses, but of course that caused more spam. And some of the early spam filters were Bayesian methods, and the spammers figured out how to break Bayesian methods. If you can tell me how they broke them, let me know. Okay, so think about that. Casual Economist says, any coding courses? If so, what languages? Great question. And give me some feedback on this one too, guys. But my thought is I'm going to be focused much more on prompting than I am on coding itself. I think I'm going to have very little instruction on coding. I'm going to have a lot more instruction on prompting. Excuse me. And that's kind of like one of those like high-level decisions I have to make at some point. And my gut is telling me that that's the right way to go about it. But who knows? Let me know, guys. What do you guys think? But I think that I'm going to do it as more of an AI approach because that's the data scientist of the future, right? The data scientist of the future is very, very heavily aided by AI, right? Mushtari says, you are right. We often are confused with influencers with thumbnails claiming to be beginner to pro. I appreciate someone like you actually laying it out for us. Yeah, thanks, Mushtari. Yeah, Mushtari, I mean, I've never been somebody who sells cheap courses. You know, I'm happy to work with people one-on-one. I still offer my one-on-one coaching service. I have some great clients right now, really great clients. So, you know, that's always kind of been my approach. This is my first time doing courses. And I figured if I'm going to do courses, I'm going to do it right. I'm going to do it with founding members. I'm going to do it globally available. I'm going to make it as accessible as possible. And I'm going to make sure it has my voice, my touches, and my knowledge behind it, right? So yeah, so thanks for that, Mushtari. Yeah, definitely don't group me in with the other idiots, because those other people, I mean, they're not data scientists, period. Okay, so it looks like Manoj is up for agile planning. Yeah, Manoj, we'll see what we're gonna do there. It'll be interesting. Yassine says, I'm with the prompting. Yeah, I think so too, Yassine. I think so too. Like, I don't want to poo-poo teaching Python from the beginning. And I'll certainly share some of the general items that I think have helped me in the past, because I've had formal training at various points. But yeah, I just don't. I'm not sure if there's a ton of value in coming up with a ground up Python course. You know. Osama says, "Sir, what do you think about integrating AI agents into the DS process?" I can be on board with that depending on which process. Like, there's a difference between implementing it in your model development versus your data pipeline development, right? Like for the data pipeline, that is like awesome, right? Like there is a ton of room for agents in data pipeline development. Can you say the same for model development? Maybe, but I kind of like that being more hands-on, right? So yeah, Osama, I mean, I think there's definitely space for it, but what part of the process? DS has a lot of parts to the process, right? The data science methodology has at least, what, 6-7 steps? So it depends on which part, right? Manoj says, I'm okay with prompting too. Okay, thank you for that feedback, Manoj. I think, yeah, I think it just makes sense, right? Ty, so good to see you. Ty also says yes to agile planning. Yeah, we'll have something on that. So right now, like I said, guys, if you look up on the screen, you know what? Let me zoom that in. That's probably not big enough for you guys. There we go. I do have it here. I do have data science project planning, but maybe Agile is its own course, because data science project planning is also more about managing the people and the expectations behind it. But yeah, maybe we'll do something there. Is it Kusan? Hussein? Help me with that pronunciation. I think it's Hussein. Hussein says, how can I join us? Hussein, welcome. Glad to see you here. Hussein, if you want to sign up for the school, if you're on YouTube or Instagram or Twitch or Kick, if you look in the pinned comments, there is a link that takes you to the page to become a founding member. I know some of you have already signed up. Ty, Denelson, a couple other people in the chat. Thank you so much for already signing up. But you can sign up at that link, Hussein. It's $5 USD per month. I'm trying to make it as accessible as many people as I can. I'm looking for 1,000 members between now and August 1st. If not, everybody gets their money back and I won't launch the school. But yeah, you can find the link to join there. Okay, Hussein, thanks so much for being here. Mushtari says, web scraping, prompt engineering, ethical AI, visualization tools. Ooh, okay. So Mushtari, you had me at ethical AI, you lost me at web scraping. As you guys know, I am not a fan of web scraping. So I shouldn't say definitely, I will most likely not have a course on web scraping. But I do appreciate your suggestions on ethical AI and visualization tools and prompt engineering. Prompt engineering, I'm not sure if that's its own course. I think that I'll have prompt engineering throughout all of these courses. But ethical AI and visualization tools definitely could be their own courses. So I definitely like those. So Mushtari, tomorrow, so actually this goes out to Mushtari and to Yassine, who have suggested good stuff. So tomorrow I'm going to show you how I'm doing my curriculum planning, and we'll definitely make these part of that. I definitely like ethical AI and visualization as additions, and agile planning was also another one. And I think, was it business? Yeah, Yassine had asked her business courses, right? So we'll definitely try to incorporate those tomorrow during the curriculum planning. But Mushtari, great suggestions on the ethical AI and the visualization tools. And I got to tell you guys, I just finished telling you how I want to do this with my own voice, with my own approach to it, right? But if I were to pick my data science tool that I'm least efficient on, is visualization. I'm okay at it. I'm not very fast at it. I'm not efficient at it. So that's the one course I did consider bringing in somebody else to help me write that. But we'll see. Maybe I'll find inspiration along the way when I work with you guys. But visualization is, I'm smart enough to know that people tend to think, oh, visualization, that's just charts and graphs, I can do that. And they leave it at the end of the project, right? But I'm smart enough to know that there is a really interesting and difficult art to good visualizations, right? And if you go out there, you can find like trade associations or professional groups that do nothing but visualizations, right? So in other words, there are some people out there who are really, really good at visualizations, like very good at them. So I think that's one of the reasons why I left it off, because maybe I don't feel so strong about that. But yeah, I mean, I need to have some sort of visualization course, right? I mean, you kind of have to, right? So yeah. So as I said, feel free to go to school.datasciencewithdennis.com. I believe that this homepage is accessible to everyone. You won't see the same options that I have because this is an administrator view. But go to that and you'll be able to see this list of courses. And you'll also be able to register. So if you click on this link here, you'll be able to register and sign up. $5 USD per month. I'm looking for 1,000 members. We're already past 10, right? And I know 1,000 is a big number. But what I always tell myself, hey, you can't get to 1,000 without getting your first one. You can't get to 100 without getting the 10, right? So we're past 10. We just got to keep going, right? So if you guys want to consider signing up, or like I said, if you just want to take a look at the courses, maybe you have other ideas for me, let me know, okay? All right, guys. So for tomorrow, what we're going to do is we're going to start taking some of the ideas that you guys have provided today, and I'm going to put them in my, I'm going to show you on the screen how I do my course planning, right? So in fact, let me bring that up a little bit here. Give me just a second here, guys. Yeah. So is there a way for me? Yeah. So just to kind of give you guys a sneak preview of tomorrow, this is a basic bulleted list that I started for myself to kind of figure out the courses that I want to do. So you can see here, I have my start here, my 10 commandments, basics of numbers, basics of statistics. So tomorrow, this is where we're going to pick up. And I'm going to start incorporating some of the ideas that you guys have given me. And then we'll kind of go from there. We're going to kind of start formalizing some of this, right? So as I mentioned to you earlier, the whole point of starting from a blank sheet like this, a blank spreadsheet at a large company, is to just kind of have a brain dump. Just think of everything you're going to need. And then you kind of start chopping that down into actionable pieces, actionable work. So that's what we're going to be doing tomorrow. We're going to take this curriculum planning task, which is obviously a big task in itself also, and we're going to turn it into something like this. So like, for example, you'll notice that I did this list before I did the color coding, because here I don't have high-level definitions for each one of these courses, and I should, right? I don't have AI in one of these courses, right? As Yassine pointed out, that was Yassine's suggestion I was thinking about earlier. I don't have any AI courses yet, right? But it's still a good list. But it still needs refinement, right? So we're gonna pick up here tomorrow. So please, thank you so much for coming. Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, I'm going to be live streaming. The Sunday series is not going to change. We're still going to do neural networks for those of you that are wondering. If you don't know what the Sunday series is, keep on coming back. That's when I do a little bit more of a longer instructional type of tutorial. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, we're going to be working on the school. It helps me stay focused and make sure I'm making steady progress, but it also shows you guys how I'm planning to grow this school, right? So please go ahead and sign up. Go ahead and sign up at school.datasciencewithdennis.com. It'll take you to the links that you can sign up for the subscription, and we'll go from there. Denelson says, would you do computer vision image processing? Yes, Denelson. So Denelson has hit upon another section that I don't have. Computer vision, almost like its own separate certification, but I think I can do that in a couple courses. And the other one is NLP, right? NLP kind of requires its own specialized approach, right? So both of those, I definitely need to add. I'm not sure if it's going to be a day one offering. But yes, that is another section that definitely it needs to be added. Kind of like the data science specialties, as I would call them, because people tend to specialize in one of those, right? But yes, Denelson, there's definitely some sort of a vision for that. But you know what? Let's talk about them when we do the curriculum planning, because that's the type of thing that, will kind of come out in that. So that's where we'll pick up tomorrow. We'll pick up here by looking at the different courses that I have. And if you guys want to add something, you guys want to add a different high level section, we can do that, right? That's the beauty of being so early, because we have time between now and August 1st. But we'll see where it all ends up. All right, guys. So we'll pick up here tomorrow, streaming Thursday through Sunday, 1500 GMT. So whatever this stream was for you, it's the same time. Look forward to seeing you guys again. But until then, it's a crazy dynamic world we live in. So please take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I'll see you next time.